Hello, entrepreneurs, and welcome again. Let me know in the comments where are you joining in from today. I'm Olivia Marcu-Iordanescu, and I want to ask you a question. Did you know that you can leverage the legal side of your business to get funding fast and efficient? In this session, I will share with you how you can use legal due diligence to become irresistible to investors. I am Avocado Olivia Marcu-Iordanescu, a former corporate head of legal with 16 years of experience, and I partner with high-performing technology companies and their founders to streamline their legal processes so they get funding. Let's talk about legal due diligence today and how you can use it to your advantage. I want you to consider that the entire due diligence process is in fact a beauty contest, whereby you are walking down that podium in front of all of the potential investors, showing off your great looks, your great clothes, and ravishing smile. In some cases, it literally looks like a podium, right? There are those famous demo days organized by accelerators or business incubators where you have to deliver your best pitch yet and convince the investors that your business is worth investing in. But actually, what I want you to know is that while the demo or the catwalk or whatever you want to call it are important, the real decision will be made after the due diligence process is closed. Or in some instances, if you get lucky, during the due diligence process. So first of all, a due diligence is a process through which an investor that is interested in funding your business will analyze the current status of your business. Why do they do that? Well, first of all, in order to identify any potential risks and therefore liabilities which may occur for them down the line upon becoming investors. Secondly, is to establish how much they are going to invest. You know, in the beauty contest, you may be requesting for a certain amount of money, but at the end of the day, they need to make sure that that investment is viable and it makes sense, not just for them, but for your business going forward and your plans. They also conducted due diligence in order to decide the structure of the investment and to seal the deal, which is basically all boiling down to signing the legal documentation supporting the investment, the transaction documents. It is therefore an essential stage of the investment process, and it's absolutely necessary that you go through this stage with your investor. You don't have a choice in the matter whether or not this takes place. However, you do have a choice in how it's going to go down. So the length and outcome of the due diligence phase depends largely on the size of your business. Its history on the market, the company, is it a group of companies? If you are an earlier stage business or startup, you might expect things to go quicker due to a smaller amount of information and documents that need to be analyzed. However, there are also other factors that can influence the length of the due diligence. One is the market, like I already mentioned. You could be in a regulated or a non-regulated market, but for regulated markets, the regulatory and compliance due diligence play a big role and may take up a considerable amount of time. It may also be that the market is a new market or an already established market. Sometimes novel markets may be deemed riskier and therefore take longer time because they require a larger amount of consultants to advise on the transaction, to assess different angles and perspectives, to better grasp the type of underlying risks. And while these two prior factors may appear to not be under any of your control, there are other factors in the due diligence process which are definitely under your control and that you can directly impact in respect to length and outcome. One very good example is the legal protection of your assets. At corporate, company level, group level, the contracts that you have in your business, the intellectual property, the employment part, with a focus specifically on key personnel and your key team members, the product, and so on. The due diligence will be carried out at different levels at the same time: financial, accounting, tax, to legal, regulatory, and compliance, to operational and HR. Typically, the investor will be represented in this process by several consultants who are specialized in different areas. An initial legal due diligence questionnaire is sent out, to which you are required to provide answers supported by documentation. This is why I share with you the legal due diligence checklist template. In fact, I'm sharing this for free, and if you want a copy, comment checklist, and I will send it over to you, so that you know not only what to expect in the legal due diligence process, but that you can start organizing your legal documentation according to the legal due diligence checklist process. Now, create already a virtual data room. You can start by doing that today, where you organize all your legal documents, and as you progress, you can add to it, update it, improve it overall. What happens during the due diligence process is that you are making disclosures to your investor. And so there are three key elements or takeaways for you in this respect. Number one is make sure you sign an NDA, a non-disclosure, a confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement, because there will be sensitive information and documentation that will be disclosed in the virtual data room, and you want to have that protected against disclosures, unauthorized disclosures. Second, prepare in advance for your legal due diligence and for the due diligence process overall. Third, be transparent and truthful in your disclosures. The disclosures you make during the due diligence process will have an impact on the length of negotiations, like I said already, but also on the investment financial terms, the legal terms of your transaction documents, and also they will have an impact on whether you need to fulfill any conditions precedent or subsequent to the transaction. So an example is where your trademark is not registered, let's say, or it is not owned by a group company, and the investor will require that you transfer or take ownership of that intellectual property right prior to accessing the funding. This can amount to a huge liability for the investor down the line, if, for instance, they cannot secure their investment, but it also amounts for you to delays in drawing down the funds that you desire and need in your business growth. All due diligence is performed in parallel, financial, tax, legal, operational. So make sure to plan ahead. This is crucial, and expect slowdown or even bottlenecks in your operations. If you want the due diligence process not to affect your day-to-day operations and put an immense and unnecessary pressure on your employees and team, then I strongly recommend that you designate a special task force within the company that is managing the due diligence process and the relationship with the investor and their team of consultants. And that is, be it for a limited period of time that this task force is dislocated for this project. The largest pressure is typically on your finance and accounting teams, and also on the legal team, because besides dealing with day-to-day operations and having to fill in monthly statements, tax statements, financial statements, paying salaries, negotiating contracts in the ordinary course of business, all of that stuff, which is typically part of their day-to-day. In addition to that, they need to provide information, answer to due diligence questionnaires, provide clarifications, jump on calls, and also be in touch with all the consultants on your side and the investor sides to make progress towards the investment documentation. So you want to take a moment, and even where you don't have yet investors lined up, just sit down with your finance and accounting and legal teams and discuss with them what are some steps that they can take today in preparation of the due diligence so that you can deal timely and powerfully with the due diligence when the moment arises. Maybe they will want to put in place some automations. Maybe they will want to create some simplified processes and procedures in their day-to-day operations. Whatever improvements or enhancements or changes they can already create and be proactive in that respect, that will really enhance the entire process when the time comes. Legal due diligence is not an easy process, but if you go in prepared, you have every chance to not just get the funding that you desire, but in the process discover a partner and a mentor in your investor and their team that will support you in your business growth plans and goals. So to sum up, you have 5 simple ways to take away today to leverage your legal documentation to get funding. Number 1, start creating today your virtual data room where you upload and save all of your legal documentation. 2, structure the data room according to a standard due diligence questionnaire or checklist, and comment checklist if you want to get a template of that, and I will send it to you. 3, prepare for the legal due diligence ahead of time by checking you have all the legal documentation in one place, stored and signed. Run your own prior legal due diligence, checking you have all your assets registered, owned, secured in your hands. Check trademarks, designs, but also check your equipment, your contracts, and make sure your contracts with key team members are clear, you have signed terms with them, and make sure everything is in place. 4, prepare for the operational slowdown and even bottlenecks, like prepare for the worst. And how you do that is by dislocating team members and appointing a special task force that is going to manage the entire due diligence process and the relationship with the investors down in the trenches, in the operational part, okay? 5, last but not least, be transparent. If there are things that you did not address, you did not get a chance to transfer trademarks, figure out how to exploit them, you don't have intra-group agreements, or you are lacking policies and procedures, or you simply haven't updated them in accordance with the latest legal changes, be transparent about that with your investors. If you are expecting or there is an actual tax decision, let's say from the authorities, which you are planning to challenge, be proactive, disclose that to your investor, and also be proactive in explaining what are some steps that you are taking towards resolving those items. Thank you for watching this today. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and also book a free legal strategy session with me. Bye.